nerves. Better shake your booties for black girl nerves.
Thank you guys. I am fans of both of you guys outside of these projects. So I'm happy to see you together in one project, especially one that has brought me great trauma in the pilot as a person who lives in Inglewood and has to pass through that area from time to time.
Get your sinkhole kit ready just in case. Get ready.
Oh my goodness. Don't say we had one over here, but so beginning with the series, this is, it's not lost on me, the pairing of you two from the pilot. We've got the strong friend, and it seems like a fragile friend who have found their ways to kind of yin and yang. And we know that the pendulum swings both ways. So beginning with you, Chiké, during the journey of this series, we know there's a sinkhole in Los Angeles. We know there are some people who are in one part of the world, and we know there's some people in a different part of the world. What can you disclose about Ty's journey with these people on the underside of the world this season?
Well, thank you, Jandra. That's an incredible way to set up the conversation, because you're absolutely right. We all find ourselves in this very dystopian world. We're strangers to one another. John's character, Dr. Sam, has his daughter with him. Ty is very much alone, as you've alluded to. And I think the great thing about the journey throughout the season is that for my character, Ty, he starts at a very low ebb. He's at the sort of bottom, and he has to find a way, a bottom figuratively and literally, being in the sinkhole, but he has to find a way back. He doesn't have to actually, he goes on a journey. And it's a great place to start. For an actor to start in that place is a really incredible journey to go on. So I've enjoyed that ride.
Mm-hmm. And John, for you, Dr. Sam, as he's mentioned, is there with his daughter. When we're introduced to him, he seems pretty composed and together and ready to assist these people who may or may not be injured. From a performer's point of view, this is a whole brand new series that no one knows anything about. Is this a easier, quote unquote, way to build a character when it's a total fresh slate that no one knows about?
Wow, that's interesting. Before I say that though, I just want to say about Chiké. When I saw that he was a part of this, I was like, wow, this is what an amazing cast we're building. I've been a big fan of his. I saw every single episode of Being Mary Jane, and he was absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. So
that show was bomb.
Yes, sir. So, like you said, us working together, that's, hey, for me, that's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing in this business, to be able to work with people that you respect so much. So that's now Dr. Sam, in building his character, I'd say actually I'm gonna say it's a little tougher this way, actually, because I was given the info as to who Dr. Sam is on paper, former Navy SEAL, doctor, father, and I said, okay, I'll see what I bring to this and try to, I'll bring a little bit of it and try to discover him as we go along. But to me, I gotta say, in some ways, I'm still discovering this character. I'm still discovering who he is. And throughout the course of filming, while we were out there, I was discovering him more and more as we went along. But it's kind of, it's I don't know if this is gonna make sense. It's kind of like I'm discovering him moving forward with the character that you see on screen. But what was tougher for me was discovering him from the past that you don't see on screen, but you would see in the way he goes about himself. So, for me, that was more the challenging part as to what created this person, what brings him to every decision that he makes, and because it's not so cut and dry, it's like, hey, he's gonna do this, he's gonna take the lead. There's a lot of things that might be going on inside of him that he masks, and things that he's trying to, maybe he's making up for something by being a leader. Maybe there's something, what is it that's pushes him there? Why does he feel the need? So there's a lot of those things that I think for me, which are great to have that ability, that opportunity to be able to try and create. But for me, it was more that backstory. I think in Chiké, we've had conversations about this.
Yeah.
Well, they are giving me the hook. I'm very excited to see this.
We have one more question.
Because
We'll be really quick with our answers. Give us one more question.
one more question. If you could swap with anybody in the cast, who would you swap with?
I actually mean this. I would swap with Dr. Sam because he has some incredibly heroic moments.
John?
I would swap with Rohan, Scott's character. I mean, he's high all the time. I try playing that. Why not? Be completely different.
Shout out to California. Thank you guys so much. I am very excited to see this. I'm into it. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you. I am very excited to talk to both of you as an LA resident, as somebody who doesn't live that far from that area. Freaked me out. It scared me, but there was something very comforting about the two of you, of a father and a daughter. I'm a daddy's girl, and I know the lengths to how my father would protect me if some wild stuff like that was going on. Beginning with you, Zyra, for Izzy. Izzy had to witness the devastation firsthand, right from the beginning of the show, and it made me a little teary. How does she build upon that trauma to even help her father and push on and try to figure out what's happening this season with the sinkhole and why it's occurred?
Sure. I think in this world, when something horrible happens to you, you can either sit down and cry or you can fight like hell. And I think she chose the fight like hell side of things. And, when her dad came along and he was like, all right, we're going to do this, she went for a really long time. And then he convinced her. And then together they did it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and for you, your character has a heightened sense of sensitivity, I guess we could say, like a higher awareness of just life in general and what that will mean during the course of a season. What do you think when you look at your character and people who say they have these heightened senses of awareness? Do you think there's a common thread about them? What do you think makes those people sensitive to information, to signals? What do you think creates that within a person, it's particularly your character?
I mean, that's really interesting. I don't think it's specifically related to Gavin. I mean, if we're going to talk about that kind of thing, it might be talking about connections to ghosts, and if you kind of become aware of that type of information, which I personally do believe in, that if you're open to things, you do begin to experience and understand things differently. I think with Gavin, he doesn't understand any of that, and that's the thing, because he doesn't have any concept, and no one does, as to what's actually happening to him. And actually, the only person who really ever sort of gave him any benefit of the doubt still is his daughter, Izzy. So even though he doesn't know what's happening, and he believes that what's happening to him might have a reason, and he might be able to figure out and connect it to something, he still has to take care of Izzy, and she's still the only person who really gave him any benefit of the doubt before. And now she becomes like a really important sort of like fulcrum and staging post for him to kind of be able to go off and follow this journey of trying to discover what's happened and what's real and what's not.
Mm-hmm. So are you based here in Los Angeles? Are either of you in Los Angeles?
No, I'm from Michigan.
Okay. Well, we here have had this happen to us several times, not to that depth. We've had one here not far from me in Inglewood where we had a sinkhole open up, nothing to that level. When you read the script and what the premise was, did you find yourself going down a rabbit hole of looking for instances of sinkholes and things like that happening around the world? Because it's starting to happen more. Yeah. It's a very real thing.
I freak myself out really easily. And so if I went down that rabbit hole, it would go very, very wrong. So yeah, I did my research a little bit. I came to La Brea tar pits, checked that out, did not go further. I'm now going to do that and terrify myself. So thank you.
And lastly, Eoin, This is going to be a fabulous journey. I've only seen the pilot. I'm super excited to see the rest of the episodes. Can you give us one spoiler, but without context, that will happen during the season, or a symbol, an Easter egg, but just with no context?
It's all linked to Gavin's childhood.
Ooh, that is a good one.
Always,
Okay.
Always go back to childhood.
Childhood trauma. We have to break the bonds.
There you go.
Well, I thank you both for your time. I'm very excited and very scared to see this at the same time. I was just at the Peterson Museum 2 days ago.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, that freaked me out. Thank you guys for your time. I really appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure talking to you. Take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for your time. This is particularly frightening to me. I live in Los Angeles. I'm sure you're saying the same thing. I live in Inglewood. We've had a sinkhole recently. So I'm just like, too close, too close.
Wow.
But I really respect and love the relationship between the two of you. I have a child I just sent off to college, and I know what I wouldn't do for her. And that's very apparent between Eve and Josh. Natalie, beginning with you, although all of these traumatic things are happening, the consideration is first and foremost for your son. And that is the full motivation of what we're going to learn in the pilot. Is that relationship going to be challenged? What can you tell us about the journey the two of you will go on in your part of the world during the series?
Yeah, I was just saying earlier that the timing is not great for Eve, because she's at this place as a parent where she's trying to sort of release the tether a little bit, and she's doing it in the worst possible place and situation to be doing it, in a place where her son is, going to be attacked by strange, crazy animals, and where their danger is lurking around every corner. So she really can't win at this point, because she has to protect her son, but at the same time, she knows that despite the circumstances, he is still essentially an adult, and he's going to need to be let go, already. Like, she should have done it already. So that's that sort of push and pull is going to be that sort of inner push and pull, inner conflict for her is going to be there throughout the whole season.
Mm-hmm. Jack, when we meet Josh, one moment you're in the car with your sibling and your mom, and the next moment it's just chaos everywhere. How is this, speaking to what Natalie just mentioned about cutting the cord a little bit, how is this trauma going to force him to mature, to stand up, to be helpful to the group of people he's with? How will he evolve during the course of the season?
Yeah, I mean, what you're touching on really is the core of Josh's character development. It's about growing up. And I think he goes into the sinkhole thinking he's a little bit more mature than he is. He's like complaining about her being a helicopter mom, and that, he wants his distance. He's excited to go off to college. And then he gets down there and she's the only person he knows. And all of a sudden he's like, I might actually need her. And, he faces pretty brutal circumstances down there too. But I think what he has to learn in this very accelerated timeline, in this absolutely crazy situation that he's in, is growing up. And that means not depending on others, whether it's his mom or anybody, and being able to handle himself, and also being able to make sacrifices for others, like you touched on.
Natalie, there's all sorts of natural disasters, earthquakes, hurricanes, tsunamis, all kind of global catastrophes at any given time. Where do you think a sinkhole like this ranks on the world scale of catastrophes? Because this is a different sort.
Yeah, it's off the charts. Like I consider myself to be fairly prepared after those two earthquakes we had that were kind of close together a couple of summers ago, and everybody freaked out and started buying go bags and way too much water, and the thing to do the valve on the gas. We were like, oh, we're set, we got this. But then I look at something like this, I'm like, oh no, we're not going to be okay. We're not going to be okay if that. Nobody's going to be okay if that happens. And I think that's sort of part of it, is it's like it can be, you can be gone like that. There is no sort of preparation that can prepare you for something like this. So It's fiction, and I'm glad it is.
Same here. This is going to be a wild ride, and I can't wait to see it. Thank you both for your time. It kicks off with a bang, and I can't wait to see the rest of the episodes. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Thanks.
Better shake your booties for black girl nerves. Better shake your booties for black girl nerves.